Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm pleased to be joined by Kash Mohammed. He's the CEO of Kalanji, but most importantly, he's the creator of MedAlly, and that's what we're really going to focus on today. How are you doing today, Kash?
It's amazing. It's pretty good to meet all of you guys today over here.
Super, super. So let's just get right into it and maybe just start by giving us an overview of MedAlly.
All right, let me tell you, I'm thrilled to introduce MedAlly. It's an absolutely incredible AI-powered clinical assistant. What we are talking about here is a system that helps doctors work smarter, as well as earn more, and then build a rock-solid patient trust. Right now, if you look into the current aspect, doctors are drawn in paperwork. They're spending hours in documenting what should be treating patients. It's a big problem in this industry. With MedAlly, we automate clinical documentation. We improve the coding practices as well as the patient insights with our cutting-edge AI. What we are currently working on is reduce the documentation time by 70%. That's huge. And boosting revenue by 35%. That equates to almost $18,000 a month.
Wow.
But it's not just about the money. It's not just about the operational efficiency. It's like the trust, which matters a lot in healthcare. That's why MedAlly helps doctors get 93% diagnostic accuracy, guiding them with AI-driven differential diagnosis, lab interpretations, and top-notch treatment recommendations. Now, basically, how we do this is not just with one AI. We have built an ecosystem of AIs with multiple AI-powered agents. Overall, there are 16 AI agents which works during this particular aspect. It handles everything from speech to text note taking to automated coding and even predictive patient monitoring. It's basically having a skilled AI medical assistant right by your side, minus all the overhead which a typical physician needs to overtake. At the end of the day, our mission is very simple. We want to give doctors their time back, optimize their earning, and finally ensure the best possible care for patients.
Interesting. So, yeah, tell us just a little bit more about, how you arrived at sort of this agentic approach to AI. Give us a little bit of insight, Kash, into how you came around to that approach.
Yeah, so basically, when we started this journey of building MedAlly, I first asked physicians, like, hey, what's stopping physicians from providing the best care possible? Through talking to doctors, identifying, what are the major roadblocks, we identified three core areas. The first thing was documentation overload. The second thing was coding and building inefficiencies. And the third thing was earning patient trust. To fix those particular things, we created 16 agents, but they all behave in primarily three core principles. One is interoperability. We want to make sure we integrate with our systems in the ecosystem seamlessly. The second thing was augmented AI. MedAlly firmly believes we are here to enhance, not replace the doctor's augmentation. The finally human in the loop aspect, the doctor is always in the control. So by taking those three principles, we started our journey by the step one of building specialized agents. Think of this one as specialized agent. Instead of one agent who can answer all the answers, we have trained agents who can take smaller chunk of the work, determine, and then focus towards that particular implementation. So for example, each agent is specific to whether they're doing a clinical task or whether they're doing an admin task or whether they're doing the financial challenge. So each one of them feels like a specialized digital helper, ensuring speed, accuracy, and trust. The second step was ensuring seamless interoperability. This is where we work on FI, HLR standards and HLS7 standards to make sure they're secure standard data exchange, which is happening across the implementations. And as we talk about the augmented AI approach, our AI looks into, predictability, but at the same time, it explains the answers, the clinical citations, the reasoning behind it. In that way, the healthcare physicians can gain confidence, and then the doctors gauge on the reliability of it. And for example, if a differential diagnosis is happening and if the diagnosis pops up, our AI kind of, ranks them, provides the citations from WHO or NICE or any other conditions to say, okay, these are the guidelines, these are the supporting lab data, and these are the possible alternatives. And finally, keeping human in the loop is where we believe AI should never replace doctors. That's why, doctors review, refine, and approve whatever AI puts out. And then AI suggests can be tweaked based on the feedback. So physician can select, okay, these are the four possible diagnoses. This is the one which I want to use it. They pick that one. And finally, like they can provide feedback and the AI learns from the feedback from the physicians.
Excellent, excellent. Tell us a little bit about the user experience. So how is the physician actually interacting with the tool?
So it's a very simple user experience for the physicians to interact with the tool. Basically, it is a three-step formula. So step one, whenever there is an encounter or they want to enter the details, they can either choose a manual approach, they can type in the details, or they can do the recording. Once they record it, our AI agent comes into the picture, which will do a transcription and then summarize the transcription into four major factors. One, it does a summary, it identifies the clinical factors, it identifies the risk factors. And then the human in the loop comes into picture where physicians can decide, hey, I want to take the route of doing lab analysis or doing, SOAP notes or trying to do some differential diagnosis or treatment plan. He selects that particular one. The other agent picks up from there. It determines, like what's the best alternative for this one? What are the differential diagnoses? What are the tests needs to be ordered? It provides the most likely criteria to least likely criteria. Physician selects what's the best approach for them. Once they select it, the other agent picks up and then they move forward, so on. So what we have kept in mind is like, physicians are not tech savvy. So we want to make sure, like if they are able to use that system, it's very simple and intuitive to use. What I have heard, and from all my experience from my technology background, if a physician couldn't figure out in 30 seconds, they don't use your software. So we have to make it as simple as possible for the physicians, as they're already bogged down with too much of EHR systems and all the other systems which are currently play. And their primary focus needs to be on patient care, not to learn another new tool to implement and how to use it.
Awesome. So obviously, regulatory must come into play here. So how sort of have you satisfied some of the regulatory concerns? I'm sure that your customers must have when you first approach them.
Yes. So first thing is like regulatory concerns are one of the bigger challenges. Like as FDA is evolving and all the different technologies coming into picture. And I firmly believe in healthcare. Trust and compliance are everything. That's your ticket to the software implementation. Now, that's why MedAlly is fully HIPAA compliant. So very first thing, we use top tier encryption as well as secure data handling. We use the Azure platform. We have signed the BAA and all of that. And then we aligned with FDA software as medical device guidelines to ensure, like, hey, we act as a clinical decision support, not as an autonomous decision maker. We worked with standards of HL7 and FHIR to make sure, like when we integrate with existing HR systems, like what's the best implementation to do it. And finally, as we talked about human in the loop, physicians always reviews, modifies, and okays AI output before it touches the patient care. So there's always a physician who is making the final decision, not the AI. Bottom line, I would say doctors make the final call every single time.
Yeah.
MedAlly is an assistant. It's not a replacement for physicians.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your go-to-market strategy. So how are you taking it to market? How are you creating awareness and opportunities for the product?
Yep. So MedAlly is just launched. It's in very early stages. Our go-to-market strategy is very laser focused on early adoption, as well as building trust and creating seamless clinic integration. Healthcare, Dario, is a very unique area. Like it's very risk averse, needs proof before making final big decisions. Now, what working for us is like we are targeting early adopters. So, for example, private practices, specialty clinics, where the decisions moves fast. There's big interest in innovation. They're not the technology laggards, they're adopters. They want to quickly see, and then implement it. What we do for them is like we offer pilot programs with clearly defining what's the ROI behind it. Second thing which we're working towards is like physician-led advocacy. If I go talk to someone, they don't trust me. So doctors trust doctors. So when a colleague says it's good, they believe it. So what we do is like we recruit early adopters and also as a brand ambassadors for our product from a physician advisory board where we meet together We discuss about, like how the things are working, what's the area of improvement that needs to happen, and create a continuous feedback loop from directly taking from the physician's input and then putting it back into the application. The second thing is like ROI driven messaging. We show them, how they can benefit from operational efficiency perspective, how they can recoup the readmissions or the patient trust, or, like when we show the numbers, numbers speak louder than hype. So we believe in that. We provide case studies as well as risk-free trials and other things. What we are not working today is like selling to large hospital systems. It's too early for us. We know procurement in a hospital or a big setting takes like 12 to 24 minutes, and it's loaded with a lot of different steps. So we are cautiously avoiding that, making sure like, hey, we are in the growth stage. We want to focus in that particular area, and we focus on that. And then once we have better success to prove, then we go in more about the agile settings first. And as I said before, traditional sales tactics without a clinical champion doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we don't do cold outreach because we know it gets ignored. Yeah. We know like patients want to hear from trusted peers. So we are building that relationship as part of our go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Have you received any outside funding, Kash?
Funding as of now, no. At the moment, we are deep into the product development.
Gotcha.
We are pushing for adoption among doctors and providing the market fit. Now, we do know healthcare AI is a capital intensive. We need money for regulatory approvals, EHR integration, sales expansion, as well as for clinical validations. Now, we do have some milestones in our app implementation. So first, we want to prove the product market fit. Healthcare AI investors only invest in proven solutions. So we want to make sure, like it's not just an idea. It has a product market fit. It has adoption. We show the early adoption, real ROI, and a strong compliance roadmap, at the same time. Then we want to target strategic healthcare investors. Not all VCs get healthcare. So we want to make sure, like it's not just somebody who's writing the check who is also bringing the expertise, and they can open the doors for us. Like, for example, hospitals, EHR vendors, insurance companies, so we want to make sure we hit the right VCs, who understand the healthcare. And finally, structuring our first raise. So as we said, like we want to hit those milestones first. For example, what's the active physician use? What's the revenue growth? What the pilot programs have been running, and how the regulatory compliance is moving forward. So based on those milestones, once we hit it, we're going to move forward with our funding.
I think that's really smart, because one of the things I see, because I talk to a lot of people, whatever, healthcare AI entrepreneurs, and a lot of them want the funding so that they can build the product, but the product isn't, whatever, it's not ready. And they put a tremendous amount of time and effort into attempting to raise money when really they're not ready for it.
They're not ready for it. Yeah. And that's why we are taking a step approach. So we are self-funded our seed and pre-seed. We build our MVP. Now we are moving forward. We're taking very cautious steps. And at the same time, it's like kind of, myself, I'm from the tech background. My wife is a physician. So she's kind of the co-founder. So like, it's kind of, Med and Ally comes together to build this particular solution.
Excellent. So kind of bigger picture here, how do you see the healthcare AI landscape evolving?
Yeah, so basically healthcare and AI both are evolving pretty fast. So AI has its own trajectory and healthcare has its own trajectory. But, especially the key trends which I have been noticing is about the AI regulations and ethical adoption. This is where FDA is ramping up with their oversight. They're coming up with their new policies. And we want to make sure MedAlly stays on compliance on top one. Transparency, explainability, physician override controls, all mandatory. So we are building our application from the ground up based on those principles and based on those values. Medical is also shifting. The entire revenue process is shifting. They are coming towards from service fee orientation to value-based care. And this is where our AI-driven outcomes are based on the diagnosis. How do we avoid readmissions? How do we do better diagnosis? How do we make sure, we cut the health cost from the value-based reimbursement process? How we can prevent readmissions with advanced analytics. And finally, the decentralized and personalized medicines, like with If you have seen a lot of startups with AI genomics, digital twins, precision therapy, it's all coming. And we want to make sure MedAlly can integrate and with those synergies, with these breakthroughs and tailor care for the patient for their unique profile. Today, what I can say MedAlly is about saving time, reducing admin work, as well as improving accuracy. Tomorrow, we want to integrate, we want to predict, personalize, and optimize at scale.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Great. This has been really enlightening. I really appreciate all the insights you're sharing. Just kind of in closing here, maybe what are two or three pearls of wisdom, lessons learned that you could share with other healthcare AI CEOs that would, be greatly appreciated, Kash?
Sure. So the very first thing which I'm going to say is, we want to innovate for adoption, not a cool AI product. It's not about that particular thing. Healthcare AI, it's all about, physicians working what they actually work. They want to focus on patient care, and we want to build tools which enable them to do that. As I said before, if a doctor cannot figure out in 30 seconds, they don't use it. So be practical, keep it simple. The second thing which I'm going to talk about is like the compliance. Use compliance as your strength. You know, that's compliance. Those three tickets for HIPAA compliance, FDA, and SOC are your ticket to your door entry into this particular ecosystem. Now, the more you have compliance built in on day one, it will avoid a lot of redundant work and rework for you in future. Now, an AI that truly supports clinicians, like that gains acceptance faster. So use those to your leverage. And finally, never forget about the human element part of it. Healthcare is still about doctors and patients. AI is just a sidekick. So it's nothing more than that. It's not the main event. Physician and doctor, that relationship is still the main event. What we need to focus on is like the best AI frees clinicians from the grunt work, letting them focus on the human side of the care. So my final takeaways for all the other co-peers are like, let's innovate, let's leverage compliance and stay human-centric.
Excellent. Well, this has just been a wonderful interview, Kash. I really appreciate everything, and all the best to you and your firm going forward.
All right. Thanks, Dario. It was amazing to talk to you.
My pleasure.